9, 8.
You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Well, apparently we had some technical difficulties there. The end of our intro did not want to play for some reason, so apologies for that. But hey, I'm Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and I am joined by
Big B McFly, the comic guy.
an auspicious beginning to our show here. But this is Best Coast Comics. Welcome to the show. Let's go through the chat and say hi to everybody who's here early. For our spooky season, beginning of our spooky season theme show here. We're talking about Frankenstein Comic Swap and our experience over there. Not technically related to Halloween, but hey, it's Frankenstein, so it's right there in the season, right? And then we'll talk about some of the news that happened as well as the Heroes for Heroes update. But let's say hi to all these fine folks. GT Key Comics in the house. What's up, GT Key? Richard says he'll settle for second place in comments as it's impossible to beat GT Key. Well, you know, I bet you with enough effort, practice, willpower, and determination, you could. It's just that you have to, it's like a supervillain origin story. You have to like really plan out your revenge arc, and then you can finally do it. Oh, there you go. GT Key, you got some competition now. Now the challenge has been served to you. Renegade takes third. What's up, Christina? How's it going? Hey, Son of Crom in the house. Hey. Welcome. Always a pleasure to have you here. Space Case, hey, how's it going? And we got Dr. Plagueis as well. Awesome, because Dr. Plagueis will come up for sure at different points in this show. Glad you're here as well. I'm sure a lot of other folks will join in as they roll in, getting done with Monday Night Football or whatever it is else they're doing, and we will say hello to you as we can. In the meantime, the way we're starting off pretty much every show between now and Heroes for Heroes, which is on November 16th, is to talk about Heroes for Heroes. But one thing I do want to do before that is talk about something a little bit different than we normally have talked about. I'm trying to bring up the link for this right now and get that pasted into chat. There we go. The thing I want to talk about just briefly before we talk about Heroes for Heroes, we've done this a couple times, but it came up this weekend, and I think both Big B and I want to take an extra second to talk about this again. That is the GoFundMe for Jen. Jen is a comic book community member. You might know her as Comic Books Will Break Your Heart over on Instagram. Fantastic, amazing member of our community who has been fighting with cancer for more than a year now. And you know, it's something we've talked about several times, but we just want to keep beating this war drum because the fight is definitely not over. And yeah, we saw Jen this weekend, so we got a chance to see her again, which was a very awesome and pleasant surprise. Not one that we took for granted for sure. And just kind of reinvigorated us to keep talking about this and see if we can help raise some additional funds for her.
Yeah, it was great to see her. She's, you know, keeping her spirits up, and you know, she's so brave and strong, and everything she's going through is just it's you know, it's hard to talk about it. I mean, I feel like I got to do everything I can to help this gal out. I mean, so
yeah. Yep, I feel the same way. It's one of those things too where it's I think the best way that I will describe it is it's kind of sobering. I made a post about it today. I know Big B made a video that he put up on Instagram today as well. I will say that every time I see her up until this weekend too, she is positive and just a shining beacon of light in Absolutely. The space of comic books. And I think that's a very important thing for her to keep motivated on, which is awesome. But she definitely could use some help. So yeah, I posted the link in the chat. It's her GoFundMe. I recommend you check it out.
Please do.
Yeah. I do want to give the update on Heroes for Heroes next. So first off, you know, I just like to show the total. We haven't had some movement in a while on the donations. That's okay. We'll get more donations coming in. If you want to go donate to Jen, and then next time you could donate to the Heroes for Heroes, we'd appreciate that. But that is where we're at for the total. But this is kind of cool. I can show you a little bit more information about it because today I went ahead and scheduled the show. And so this is the actual video up on my channel right now where you can go like it. And you can save the show, hit the bell, that kind of stuff to be reminded for when the show goes live. You get that little notify me right there on a web browser. It's a little bit different on your phone. But yeah, this is the charity fundraiser event. It's currently scheduled for 12 noon Pacific time. That may change a tiny bit. And it is going to be on November 16th. This probably isn't the only event or stream that we're doing for Heroes, but I did want to make sure I officially scheduled it. And it is going to be the main event with like the original art you've been hearing about and the comic books people have been sending in for the most part. There might be some extra events we do, but this will be the big one you definitely don't want to miss. Let's put it that way. So, yeah. In the spirit of that, should we show off some of the cool Heroes for Heroes stuff we have? Some of the new stuff?
For sure.
So I realized I never actually showed off a few of these things on stream. This is a set of sketch covers that I picked up, and I just realized I hadn't showed it off. But this one is sketched by Joe Del Beato and Mariano Niciesa. That's a Union Jack cover. I don't think I ever showed that off anyway. I know I did on the Instagram, but very cool red sketch cover. Those are always fun. And then I think this is a neat set. This is actually by Ken Hauser, and it is a kind of connecting sketch cover set of Power Man and Iron Fist.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So you guys may or may not be aware, but we're currently streaming over on the EXP. The EXP has several awesome art shows. I picked these up at one of their art shows myself, and I picked them up specifically because I wanted to donate them to be part of the Heroes for Heroes items we run. So those are my donations. This is super appropriate. This came in kind of via Lunch Money Comics, Mike over at Lunch Money Comics, from I think it's a shop, Magic Geeks Comics. They donated some awesome stuff. This is just a fantastic classic Frankenstein book right there. Very appropriate for what we're doing. This one does have the coupon removed. They have it at about a 3.0. That's kind of what it looks like to me as well. That is issue 25. So that's really cool.
Yeah, Magic Geeks is a Whatnot.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, there's actually several things here. So I'll kind of pull out their raw books anyway. Got Strange Tales 179. So that's the first Pip the Troll.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
Very cool. So again, as I'm showing these off, these are donations that we got in. These ones are from Magic Geeks. This is GI Combat number 138, first appearance of the Losers.
Nice.
Appropriate book for our event for sure. This is a Mike Dooney original sketch and signature on a TMNT number 1. So sketch cover there. It's very cool. And then this is limited out of 15. This is number 11. It's a metal cover from it's the Cause and Effect series. It's like a female Gambit. Metal covers are hard for me to do justice without getting all the light glare on it, but it is beautiful, impeccable.
Things are heavy too, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a thick book for sure. Heavy. That's the right way to put it. This came in from Mike himself. He picked this up on the video he did recently where he goes to a show, I think in New Hampshire, I want to say. And he showed this off. I guess Jim Rugg goes around and does these at different shows. But this is Rambo 3.5. I guess he does different colors for each one. And that is signed by Jim Rugg on that note there from Mike over at Lunch Money. So we've got to thank him for that. That's really awesome. And then there's a guy, I don't know what to call him other than You're Next, because that's what I know him from on Instagram. It's like YUUR next at You're Next on Instagram. He sent some awesome stuff last year, including 10 copies of Avengers Annual number 10 for this event. this year he sent in some books. I'll just kind of start showing them here. This is the first Doctor Strange king size annual. Cool book.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Book, right?
What's that?
Big square bound book.
Yeah, square bound book, and it's in pretty good shape. At least VF, I would say, which is tough for those square bound books. You got Death of Elektra.
Nice.
Yep. This is the first appearance of Swamp Thing's daughter in that book there, and then, not to be outdone by his donations last year. This is always so hard to show off all these gorgeous books. We have 5 first appearances of Rogue.
Wow.
I know the Blair's just catching that, but
it's his thing, huh?
yeah. He has tons of those copies, and it was so generous of him to donate these. So he sent in 5 of those, and he sent in 5 X Factor number 1s.
Nice.
Yeah. Very cool. And I'm pretty sure this is the original reprint of Hulk 180, Hulk 181. But this is that Hulk versus Wolverine special. Got 5 copies of that as well.
It's a John Byrne wraparound cover on that.
Yeah, gorgeous cover too.
It's got Wendigo on the back.
Let's see here. I got a copy of Champions number 1, first appearance of the Champions team.
Nice.
The second solo series of Man-Thing. Very cool. And then 2 copies of Inhumans number 1 appearing in their own title.
Nice.
I actually, Frogwell, you're right. I do come into different copies of that pretty often. I forgot one book that came from Mike's package. This is from Has-Been Collectibles and Toys. Has-Been Collectible Toys and Comics. And this is, I need to get more information about this, but this is a foreign book. I'm sure there is somebody out there who knows a lot more about this than I do. So I need to collect some additional information about that to accurately talk about it, but it's very cool. Is that one you're familiar with, Big B?
I saw the one that had a reprinting of Giant Size X-Men a while ago, but I think that's Canadian. It's in French.
Yep, that tracks.
And look, like I said, it had a poster inside.
Yeah, free poster. I'm sure that's what poster gratuit means. Tout encounters, close encounters, maybe. But we did have Dr. Plagueis in the chat, so I'll go a little out of order with these just because it's raw books versus slabs. This is just an amazing Shadid Shah exclusive that he had this remark of Vega done on. It's a Street Fighter TMNT comic. And look at that signature and remark. That is just insane. So that is so cool. This is Origin of Dr. Fate, if I'm not mistaken.
And Todd McFarlane. That's an early Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, that too. Good point. And then he did this newer Secret Wars run. Got the whole run of that there. That's really cool.
That's going to be an important book coming up.
Yes, exactly. And then, okay, so that's from Dr. Plagueis, who is super generous, but he's actually got another slab I'll show you later here. These came in from our friends over at 24/7 Comics. This is the Ashcan edition, I think, or the VV edition of Zero Ghost by Justin Jordan, Brian Ching, and Will Quintana. Wow. So that's a very hard to get comic right there. And then you guys might remember I did a interview with Sean Chen and Daniel Wu. Sean Chen, longtime Marvel actor, he's the one that did like all the art for for use in licensing and stuff. So he's like the quintessential artist for a lot of stuff on the official guidebooks, for style guides that they sent out. He did this comic book called Evermind with Daniel Wu, who's an actor you might know from Into the Badlands. These are all signed by Sean Chen and Daniel Wu. This is their book Evermind. The character right there is based on Daniel Wu's appearance. And then, oops, that's the cover I wanted to show. This is my favorite cover of that series by far. That's kind of like robot Marilyn Monroe kind of cover. So we got some of those.
Love that.
So figure drawing says Daredevil Journal, Strange 138, a French reprint that includes Daredevil 145 and a painted cover by Jean Frisano, or so Google says. Hey, I like that's important. Thank you. So moving on to the slabs, let me situate this stuff so we don't damage anything. Just showing off books. I don't want to make things worse, but yeah, we got lots more to show off. It's really starting to come together for Heroes, everybody. This is insane. This is Startling Stories #1 from 1939.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, this comes from Magic Geeks. And I mean, that's, one of those massive, like, trade paperback slabs.
Pulp, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the holder size.
Pulp slabs, yeah.
Yeah. But that is so cool. Very appropriate for Spooky Month, too. That's a 1.0 Startling Stories #1 from 1939.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then these ones, I won't take them out just to prevent crinkling noise, but this is Action Comics 52.
Wow.
And that's in a 0.5. I didn't show the grade, sorry. Action Comics.
Like missing pages inside or split spine? Or?
So centerfold missing.
Okay. Does it say if it affects story or not?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
Maybe if I went and looked at like the detailed notes on it or something like that. But yeah, that is cool. And then our friends at 24/7 Comics not only sent the raw signed ones, but we also have the artist edition slabbed in a 9/8 for Evermind. And also their Zero Ghost Ash Can edition in a 9.8.
Holy cow. So much good stuff.
Very cool. Yeah. He sent along this 9.4 first appearance of Ninjak.
There you go.
Very cool. And this is from Lunch Money Comics. He sent this along. This is signed by Neil Adams. This is All-Star Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder, #8, signed by Neil Adams, Retailer Incentive Edition.
That's a cool.
You can see the
melding of Batman and Joker. Yeah.
Yeah. That silver signature down there in the corner. Thank you, Mike, from Lunch Money, for that one. That's really awesome. Okay. I think that's all the books.
Wow.
So I'll make myself not quite as large because I'm going to be.
Can you say you had a slab from Plagueis or no?
You're right. I do have a slab from Plagueis. That's right. It's kind of.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Maybe jumbles around.
Making you dig for it.
Yeah. That's true too. Mark Lineker sent along this 4-color comics.
Yeah.
I think I showed that off before, but that's kind of in that stack. And this G.I. Joe #54 too.
Wow.
So that's cool. But yeah, let me do this again. Okay, so his friend Daniel, Dr. Plagueis' friend Daniel, accidentally ended up with an extra copy of this gorgeous Frank Frazetta Eerie Comics. So he donated that to us.
Beautiful cover.
It's great, and this is a really nice looking copy too. So very cool. I actually had one more. This is the regular edition of Evermind. So thank you for reminding me. And then Dr. Plagueis' slab X-Men 131 in a 9.2, so a nice high grade on a X-Men book from the run everyone remembers. So I'm sure that's going to go good in somebody's collection. So yeah, that's the comic books.
There we go.
Great stuff. And then stay tuned because you're going to have some seriously cool art coming your way here. Maybe you can kind of talk for a second while I dig this out, Big B.
Talk about,
I don't know.
Okay. Talk about us getting ready for our trip down to see Frankenstein, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah, so this weekend, Saturday morning, Bronze and I got up bright and early, and we headed over to the local Home Depot and hooked up so we could carpool down and grab some coffee and hit the Frankenstein comic swap. And we both had different agendas, which was interesting. I was more on a budget because of the last two big collections that I've been involved with getting a hold of. So I was going for more 50-cent bin and dollar diving, and Bronze was anything and everything the nets will catch.
All right, I think I'm ready to show off some pages here. So I'll to be continued on that story for a second.
For sure.
So this is Sean Chen artwork. All the pages you're about to see are Sean Chen's pages. This one is from X-Men The End, issue 18, page 7. So this is the original page. And I'll try to do my best here to hold that. I'll do like kind of a hold and scroll. But I want to show you the coolest thing about Sean's pages is he does all his prelims. Try to get that to focus. He does all his prelim poses and stuff on the back. So not only do you get a page from him, you got to kind of get to see his process and his figures and like what he was thinking about doing on that page.
That's cool.
And then this is issue 12, page 23 from X-Men The End.
Nice.
In the interest of time, there's more of those prelims on the back, but I'll just show you the next page. This one is X-Men The End, issue 12, page 5.
We'll have to get a hold of copies of the actual books so we can show, like.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I love the sketches on the back. That's super cool.
And this is Wolverine 182, page 9. So Sean kind of did a run near the end of that volume 2 of Wolverine. He did a pretty sizable run on that. So that's from his and I'll show it for that real fast. I'll just kind of show you more of those prelims he does on the back, his layouts or roughs or whatever you want to call them. Last page was, this is from Salvation Run, issue 2, page 11. And that's kind of the character there has like their brain sticking out. So you kind of call it a Frankenstein-esque Halloween type thing almost there. So that's kind of appropriate.
Also, it's like a Brainiac or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that title too. But I'll definitely pull the original art so we can see it and check it all out.
Yeah.
And there's one more huge one. Trust me, it's worth the wait. I just got to get it out of here.
Drum roll.
Yeah. How about a little Mark Bagley original?
Oh, holy cow. That's awesome. You could almost turn that like sideways, right? Like where he's swinging sideways.
Yeah,
the other way.
Yeah, I get the other way.
That way.
Hard to do for camera.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Very neat.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome of him to do that. I'm going to have him on my channel to do a little like promo for that, like a little interview. He said he's willing to do that. We're just going to schedule the time on that. So, yeah, awesome. I wish I had the original to show you, but I also have Chip Zdarsky did a Spider-Man that's gorgeous. It's a Spider-Man head profile piece that's going to be coming in from Actual Dracula, via Actual Dracula, I should say. So that's, yeah, absolutely. So I think that's kind of our marquee item at the moment, but whew, a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, that's sweet.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your story, but I just wanted to make sure I got through the stuff
I was trying to fill air while you were doing your thing, man. That's probably more appropriate for later on anyway. So
before we dive back into the Frankenstein then thing, I'll just say one other quick thing, which is I did mention earlier that we're streaming over on the EXP. Tonight we're going to do a ad-free presentation, so we're not actually going to do any and roll any of the ads, but I do want to take a second to tell you about some of the shows going on over on the EXP. So tomorrow, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have Minute to Skim It, which is an awesome show if you want to tune in to kind of get a capsule review of the issues coming out on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. So that's one I highly recommend checking out over there. Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern. I will talk about some of the other shows coming up on the EXP as we roll through the rest of this live stream. But for that, I do recommend the link is in the description. So go check out the EXP channel, hit subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell for the Minute to Skim It show tomorrow night. So very cool. By the way, one of the stars of Minute to Skim It right there, Jay. So definitely go check it out. He's our producer on tonight's show, but he talks about some of the comic books coming out on Wednesday as well. Yep, I did get a haircut. Thanks for noticing, Sicko. I appreciate it. And I probably missed a few chat items. I'll try to jump back and get those as we go. But we were telling you guys a little bit about our experience going to Frankenstein Comic Book Swap. So yeah, we met up Saturday to go down there. For those that don't know, this is a Portland, Oregon area show put on by a couple different comic shop owners, but it's not really affiliated with their shops. They just wanted to kind of create an environment where you could go set up a table cheaply. You don't have to be in the business. It's not an official like con. I talked about it with Kyle earlier. He described it like, oh, that's like we do shows like that at like our Elks Lodge around here. It's kind of the same thing. It happens in a basically dying mall. It takes place on 2 different floors of a store that used to be there that's connected. So there's a staircase in the middle of the store. And there's probably, if I had to guess, I'd say at least 50 comic book vendors there. Maybe more, actually, if I stop and think about it.
Probably more. I think maybe 60 to 70.
70, yeah, I could see it. And it is my favorite. So this is the second one I've been to. They do it in March and they do it in October, kind of around St. Patrick's Day and kind of around Halloween. And it's called the Frankenstein Comic Swap. If you want to search for them on Facebook, if you happen to be in the area. And it is an amazing show. It's really a lot of fun.
I love it.
Yeah. So we'll talk about this a little bit, and then we'll talk about news and stuff at the end of the show. But yeah, so how many of you? Is this your 3rd or 4th one or something?
It's my 4th one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has it stayed pretty consistent for you, or have you seen it change at all?
No, it's been consistently really good. I mean, it's primarily, I would say it's like a lot of collectors who are just like liquidating extra stuff that they have acquired and they don't want anymore. A lot of that kind of stuff. So there's some really great deals to be found there. And then some guys who are kind of like weekend warrior, flea market sellers and stuff like that. So again, a lot of really great deals to be found and had there. So
yeah, I mean, I was talking to a guy there who's just a dentist. I was like, so do you have a shop or something? Because you got a lot of inventory and like he had like a nice wall set up and he's like, no, I'm just a dentist. I'm just doing this with I think he said it was his friend or his neighbor. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, a lot of stuff like that. There are people there that have shops. There are people there that, maybe they're online sellers or something like that, but there's a lot of people there that are just offloading their extras, or they're kind of just, looking for trades, that kind of stuff. It's a very cool environment. I know Dr. Plagueis was going to come down for a different event earlier this week, and I told him, like, well, it's too bad you're not going to be here on Saturday because this thing's going on. And I told him a little bit about it, and he's like, okay, I'm going to that.
I tagged him.
And he came to that. I think he had an amazing time there. We described it, like compared it to Rose City Comic Con, which is a good show. It's a very fun show. I think in total, I saw between 5 and 10 comic book vendors, specialty comic book vendors. There's other places that have comic books, but people that are just there to sell comic books, that's really light. One thing I like about Washington State Summer Con, the other Northwest Con, is there's a lot more comic vendors there. There's not a ton more, but there's more. This is just, like I said, 50 to 70 comic book vendors. So it's absolutely an insane show to go to. And Bigby, I think, went ape on every 50-cent and dollar bin box on the first floor of this place that in existence, and pulled so many great comic books. It was insane.
It was fun. I found stuff that had no business being in 50-cent and dollar bins. That's for sure.
I will say Dr. Plagueis, I think, easily had the pull of the show.
Oh yeah. He's already shown it on Instagram. I guess you can talk about it, but wow. I think somebody forgot to add a 0 to that book. That's the problem.
Yeah. It's just crazy. So it's a good show. It's a good time if you're going to be in the area and you're thinking about, checking it out, or you want to go to it in March. For sure, let me know. Let Bigby know, because we'd love to meet up with you there and say hi. We that's the other beauty of it. A lot of people in the Northwest go to this show, so we were able to say hi to some people we know, which is great. A lot of fun.
People who recognized us.
Yeah, that was a little different for me. I thought that was an insane amount of people were nice enough to come up and say hi. They recognized you or something like that, and that was a lot of fun. Getting to meet some viewers, and hey, maybe some of you are out there. Hello.
We did give out some stickers, right? So
yeah, we had some Heroes for Heroes business cards, and courtesy of Dr. Plagueis, by the way, who made those. Hey, what's up, Kamikaze? How's it going? We're just recapping our comic swap experience before we show off any hauls or anything like that. But yeah, it was just remarkable. I know, Bigby, did you literally never make it upstairs?
I literally never made it upstairs. I had set a budget, like we talked on video while we were driving down, and I'm like, I'm setting a budget and I'm going to stick to it. I'm really going to try to just be, bargain bin hunting, and I really stuck to that. So yeah, and I was actually happy with myself for not going. I mean, I went crazy, but I didn't go crazy, right? I mean, I stuck to the budget.
Yeah, no, I book wise, you pulled down more than I did, but budget wise, you pulled down about half what I did. So,
right.
Yeah, so that was cool. Watching your haul, I've said this before, I'm always impressed by Bigby's sense and ability to pull comic books, or like to pull them from his memory banks. I mean, like to look through, oh, hey, this is so and so, and this is this and this. And I know there's people out there that are, photographic memory and can do it for every single book ever made. But it was just impressive to watch. It always is. And I think for the most part, we split up, like divided our efforts a little bit. Except for the first vendor, the very first one we walked into on the first floor.
Well, we hit it, because he was right in the middle of the walkway, and everybody just kind of parted the river around him, and nobody was going to his table.
Yeah, and so it just seemed like a natural place for us to begin, whereas everyone else kind of was like just walking into the show, basically.
Right.
But he had some cool stuff. He had some trade paperbacks. He had just some boxes of comics, but Bigby started on one side, I started on the other, and we kind of like crossed. And it was hilarious, each of us kind of pulling stuff that the other person didn't see or didn't, want or whatever.
And you're like, how did I miss that?
Yeah. So some really cool stuff in there. And then I could tell Bigby was, and I applaud this. He was like looking at every issue in these bins, like on the next vendor. And I was kind of like, okay, well, I kind of wanted to try to see everybody. And if I found a vendor I really, 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 really was like, and first few things I saw, then I wanted to spend more time there. So I was kind of scouting ahead and sending him like, hey, you should definitely make sure you get to that one, or definitely make sure you get to this one. And he was just cleaning up. So
that's kind of my obsession when I start going through that stuff, is I want to look at every book, because that's how I found a couple of the books that, like, it was like in the middle of a bunch of stuff that nobody probably wanted to look at, and then here's a $35 book, you know, stuck in the middle, right? So it's like,
yeah,
okay,
for sure. But it was a great show. I mean, I think, you know, meeting up with Plagueis there, I saw Damien, Sleepy Reader 666 there. We saw Jen there. There's a vendor I know named Forager Comics. He was there. It was nice running into him, although he was just shopping at this show. A few other people. I mean, to all the viewers that came up and said hello, that was very nice of you, very kind of you. I know story I told a couple times. I was talking to this guy who had some Hot Wheels on his table, and he had like all the Batmobiles and that kind of stuff. And I don't know anything about Hot Wheels. And so I said, hey, I'm kind of new to Hot Wheels. I know there's a Bumblebee one that's out. That's like a Volkswagen Beetle. And I was like, is that rare? You know, I was kind of trying to like, hey, do you know, am I gonna have to like order that off eBay and pay a bunch for it? Cause I just want it for my kid. So we're talking about our kids and liking Transformers and stuff. And this person just kind of like beelined over. And I was like, oh, this person must know the vendor and they're going to come talk to them. And then he's like, oh, hey, Christopher Bronze, I just want to say I enjoy your videos. And like, you know, it was just very, very nice. And, you know, I asked him what his name was and said hello to him and everything, and just say, it's very nice of you to say that. And he, you know, he goes back to the show and just wanted to say hi. And then I turn around and I could see this vendor just like, who are you? Like, what's going on here? Like, what was that about? But I could tell him, like, I could see the wheels turning. But he, you know, it's kind of like, so anyways, Hot Wheels.
Back to the Hot Wheels conversation.
It was pretty fun. But there was a few things like that. It was just a very, very cool experience. As far as, and then we had to, we'll say, like, after the show, we went and got some good food and were able to talk about all the cool stuff we saw. That was fun too. Is there anything else?
We always do our recap at Orange Julius. So so I have a video will be coming out later on that's got a recap of with us and Plagueis and his buddy and
the full haul.
Yeah.
So I was going to suggest, you know, we didn't really talk about this before the show. I think we kind of recapped our experience of the show. I showed a ton of Heroes for Heroes stuff. Do you want to talk about all the news and then come back and show our hauls afterwards, or should we go straight to the hauls?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do the news and then we'll come back and show books after that, because we've already showed a whole bunch of books.
Yeah, and I know not everybody's like down for just seeing book after book after book. So trust me, there is some really cool stuff. I know I have some cool stuff, and I really believe Big B has some amazing stuff that we have to show off. So if you're interested in that part of thing,
right?
Yeah, especially considering the price. You know, I won't show everything I have, but I'll show the highlights of what I got and everything, like top 20 or 30 or something like that. Yeah, I got more than that.
Which I separated. I didn't separate everything out. I just have it in a big stack here, so I don't know.
I don't have it separated out, but I can kind of flip through it because I got it in a box. But anyways, if you want to see that, stick around and we'll show you that here in a little bit. So let me pull up my first news story we have to talk about. I should have been doing that while I was talking, you know, professional YouTube host, but hey, just bear with me for a second. So a lot of stuff is going to be about New York City Comic Con for sure. Right. Definitely we'll talk about that quite a bit. But the first thing that actually came up happened before Comic Con, and I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know. It's not necessarily one that needs probably a ton of conversation or explanation or anything like that. But this is courtesy of Screen Geek. Oh, that actually is not making that any bigger. If I do, nope, that makes it smaller. Oh, weird. It's just formatted strangely. So we'll try to do that. So Marvel confirmed a surprise plan for MCU Phase 6. And it's kind of a little bit of a clickbaity headline. But basically what this article comes down to is that they're going to do smaller budgeted shows. They want to finally begin to produce their shows at a reasonable cost for the MCU TV shows. And one of the things they mentioned in this article, because I know it's hard to read the whole thing, it's just a wall of text on the screen, is they talked about how Agatha all along is actually using some practical effects, whereas historically they would have used visual effects, CGI. And it's actually kind of interesting because Agatha all along, I think, is more so positively reviewed than most of the other MCU shows recently. I think that's kind of the general sentiment out there. I'll keep it spoiler free. In fact, I haven't even watched the last episode that came out last Wednesday. But I'm really enjoying what I saw up until then, and I'm going to keep watching it. Just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But I do think it kind of shows in the quality that, I think this article kind of mentions that a lot of viewers have been asking for that. So they think it's kind of a win-win. I mean, it does kind of sound a little bit like a PR statement for we're lowering our budget and here's why. But I mean, at the same time, I think there is something to be said for it. The other thing they mentioned is that Daredevil Born Again will actually be a lower budget show as well. But you think about what was good about the Netflix Daredevil show, and I wouldn't really say the big budget was a huge part of it. It was kind of the fight scenes and the story and the drama, definitely. But yeah. So it's mostly just a wall of text. I know it's kind of hard to read, but that's kind of the gist of it. Did you have any kind of reaction to that one when you saw that, Big B?
No, I don't have any negative reaction to it. I mean, yeah, cool. If they're going to go back to doing some cool practical effects stuff, that'll be neat to see.
Yeah, 100%. Hold on, Jade says, I am the opposite. I can read a comic, put it down, and be like, ooh, a comic. I've been reading comics over 30 years, and it always amazes me how people can just be like, oh yeah, that happened in this issue. I gotcha. Yeah, I totally can relate to that. Like I some issues stick with me and many don't. But yeah, when it comes to MCU stuff, I think that there is this, I think there's a line in Deadpool and Wolverine that's like, can we just stop the multiverse thing? And it kind of addressed a little bit some of the fatigue that people have with some of the MCU stuff. I think part of that fatigue is the way, people talked about the Star Wars shows, and they were all filmed with that volume technology where they had a giant screen behind the actors, and it created this look that was cool for some shots because they could do some things without being on location, but it also started to look the same and kind of flat after a while if they use it too much. Right. And I think CGI in Marvel movies and Marvel television shows, for that matter, is kind of the same. But then again, some stuff I don't know how you do it practically without it looking cheesy. So it's one of those things where I think it depends on the subject matter. I think some of the stuff that could benefit from practical effects is more likely to lend itself to a TV show format rather than a large movie.
Yeah, for sure. Like I could see definitely Daredevil, stuff going that way.
Yeah, all like the street level hero kind of stuff, which is kind of what Netflix did. Defenders and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and all that stuff. I won't mention Iron Fist. They did that really well, and then there's lots of characters like that I think would fit into that. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of a fun little take on how Marvel's feeling about what's going on, I guess. And a kind of a way to talk about excitement for Daredevil and also props for Agatha all along for being a pretty good show.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying Agatha. That's a good show.
All right. So let's talk about some very much comic book related toy news. So this is straight from Hasbro Pulse. So a lot of people, it's probably gonna be hard to see in small camera mode, but there is a HasLab Sentinel behind me. A lot of people comment over that whenever I move my head over the years. I can't really get in the background too well, but a lot of people really like the Sentinels. Then they like the large format Sentinels too. So this is a X-Men 97 simple kind of animation style inspired Sentinel. It's not quite as large as the HasLab Sentinel. I think it's about 8 inches shorter, maybe. Still pretty big. Give you some scale there. Those are 6-inch action figures, so still pretty large.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool for a lot of people that missed out on them, and now here very clearly trying to push, hey, why don't you buy multiples of these? But yeah, it's 22 inches tall. I think the HasLab Sentinel is like 30 or 32 inches or something like that. So
27. What is it?
This is 22.2.
Oh, 22. Okay.
Tall.
So it's not right.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's still pretty big. Here's my problem with that though. For $175, honestly, for as simple of a sculpt as this is and as simple as a design, it is smaller than the HasLab Sentinel. I actually think that price is too high because this looks a little bit like the Titan series Sentinels they released that are kind of like the Mark II Sentinels, basically from the comic books, where they're more like supposed to be like, 10 to 15 feet tall instead of 12 feet tall or whatever, instead of building sized.
Right.
But I mean, it's amazing. Hopefully it's cool for people that missed out and want a chance at another one or another couple of them or something. But I do think the price is a little high for what you get, in my opinion.
Some comments in the chat about it.
It looked amazing at NYCC, right on. The HasLab is massive. It's very big for sure still. That was, I was just explaining all that, how it's different and everything. It's basically less articulation, less paint, less detail, much less sculpting, less effects. I mean, the HasLab Sentinel came with two Sentinel, like prime Sentinel figures, 2 6-inch Sentinel figures, 3 heads, 2 articulating wire tentacles that could hold a figure, light up effect in the eyes and in the chest. So those are kind of the main big differences. But I do like that it came with the blast effects. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I think this might kind of suffer from what the Nimrod Sentinel came with, where you might not really be able to like show it blasting like down at figures or something like that very easily, because that looks kind of like it'll be awkward to articulate correctly with the way the hands move. Maybe I'm wrong. They don't really show enough pictures. But it's still cool. I hope anybody who wants one gets one. So
yeah, it looks pretty sweet though. I mean,
yeah,
it looks like the face changes. They change out the face, change out the chest plate.
Yeah. So yeah, there's battle damaged like dome, and then a battle damaged like faceplate, battle damaged power core there. There's a video too, which I won't play, but yeah. So it's pretty neat. I'm glad that people are getting a shot at it. Very cool. So I don't really have anything to show about it because we won't play the trailer, but you posted the Creature Commandos trailer, which I did watch. Right. Looks pretty cool. For those not familiar, Creature Commandos is kind of I think it's the first new DC universe project essentially that's going to come out.
James Gunn thing, right?
Yeah.
I showed it to a buddy of mine. He said it looks like Invincible Bloody. It's like it's
it looks like it's kind of like Suicide Squad, but with monsters. The animation style definitely reminded me of Invincible as well, just as far as the violence goes. It looks fun. I'm excited for it.
James Gunn humor in there.
Mm-hmm.
With GI Robot.
Yeah. So, but basically, Amanda Waller puts together a team. They're not allowed to use human superheroes anymore, and then yet, at least one member of the team is human, but mutated. So I don't know what the rules are.
Dr. Phosphorus.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's not human anymore.
Right. That could be.
Flag was there though too. So.
Well, but I mean, he was never part of like the Suicide Squad itself. He was like the wrangler for the Suicide Squad, right? So they're
interesting to see continuity, how they're bringing him back.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but this is his dad, isn't it?
No, it's Rick from the
Okay.
movie.
He got a promotion though because he's general now. So okay, so that made me think of his dad for some reason. But yeah, I guess his dad was still just a colonel anyway too.
Jay, not familiar with Creature Commandos?
Oh, I think he's just making a Monster Squad joke.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I just watched Monster Squad for the first time. I watched it in 2 chunks, but basically yesterday. I mean, I'd seen definitely huge parts of it. I just never had sat down and watched the whole thing. Jay says no, it is Rick Flag Sr.
Oh, Senior, okay, all right.
Yeah, which kind of makes sense with kind of he looked aged in the show. I mean, I think he looked distinguished, but
Yes, distinguished. That's it.
I don't really know that it's not a movie, it's a series. That's the thing I should mention. It's a Max series, right. HBO Max. I don't know if it's really, I don't know if they're starting with this because of story reasons or if it's more of just like this project could be made first before the film could come out, because the Superman film is going to be his first live action debut essentially. But that's the thing with his whole, Gunniverse or whatever you want to call it, is it is going to be connected. So even the animated projects are now going to be connected as long as they come out in that non-Elseworlds kind of line. They are going to be connected. So that's pretty cool.
It's going to be interesting to see how they blend everything, because he's saying like Peacemaker could be, could not be. We still have the same Amanda Waller. He still wants to use the same Wonder Woman.
The last thing I read is that Peacemaker season 2 will be in the new universe, but Peacemaker season 1, parts of it may not be considered canon. But I mean, like, the character is though, right? Like, I mean, that's so that means John Cena is Peacemaker. But yeah,
whatever. Just give us good entertainment. That's all.
It
doesn't have to make sense.
If it's terrible though, if it ends up absolutely sucking, I think we'll have to do some sort of like time heist, and we'll have to figure out a way to go back to the future, fix everything. So yeah, this is just this has kind of been all over the internet today, but just to take a minute to acknowledge it, it is technically Back to the Future Day.
How you're supposed to dress for work today.
Yep. Or I mean, it was 9 years ago at least. But it's cool. It's Back to the Future Day. I love the Back to the Future trilogy for sure. So I remember reading the comic books too. Was it Now Comics or whatever? So maybe it was Harvey. I can't remember, but fun stuff.
I think they're come out with a new movie pretty soon, I heard, right?
Oh, that's interesting, because I've heard they actually do not want to do. I've heard they've blocked the state from ever making new movies or something like that. But yeah,
what do we know?
I can go Back to the Future. I'm getting some books, then work on fixing crap. Yeah. I would, man, the temptation to walk into a shop and be like, yoink, yoink, yoink would be, but then think about the people that would never have gotten that comic book.
You'd cause ripples, right?
Or is that the way time always worked? And those
right?
comics never, yeah, exactly. I don't know.
I saw a thing where it's like, Marty actually died several times. That's the only way Doc would have known to be in this place at this time with the vehicle or whatever. He kept fixing time. He kept time traveling back and fixing it.
Is that like the Rick and Morty style explanation of like how, which obviously is based on, by the way, don't go Googling this unless you're in for some really serious adult content. But the original short that Rick and Morty is based on Doc and Marty from Back to the Future. So, which is pretty obvious. I think a lot of people know that by now, but it's Very adult. If you go to watch it, it's not like the cartoon, which is also very adult.
Right. That cartoon, man, that thing, like, that'll put you through the ringer. Like, you just think it's going to be a silly cartoon, and there's been episodes where I'm tearing up. I mean, it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely like the episode where Rick, at the end, he's like creating the machine because he wants to essentially off himself. It's just a very emotional roller coaster right there. That whole show, it has high points and low points, but
yeah, I mean, like I say, like it's a roller coaster. Some of them are just like throwaway, fun, goofy adventure, and then other ones is like, oh my gosh, you're tugging at my heartstrings on some of this stuff, so
yeah. Were you a huge Back to the Future fan when you were watching the movies when you were younger?
Oh, I watched them all as they came out, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They were, I was super enjoyed them. Yeah,
I still think 2 and 3 were peak because it was the first time I remember. Maybe there was something else that did this, but it was the first time I remember that like 2 films were essentially filmed back to back and then released like, fairly quickly together, considering how slow things moved back then for theatrical releases. I think it was a year apart or something.
Right. Yeah.
So that was pretty impressive. I always thought that was cool. I mean, 3 is probably not most people's favorites, but I liked it when I was a kid. Hey, what's up, Archimist? How's it going? Yeah, probably some exiles here because I don't think. I know Chris didn't do his pros and cons show because he was traveling or getting ready to travel from NYCC. So I know I've seen Art Chemist over there before.
Yeah.
Welcome. Hopefully he's having safe travels right now. Sounds like he had a good time at the show.
With some of the stories you were telling me about what was going on with him. Woo!
Yeah, he had a rough like arrival first night there, which I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. I know he's talked about it on social media, but I'm sure he'll talk about it when he does his next show. That was pretty funny. I actually had somebody, it was one of the people who recognized me, was like, "Oh, comic tropes," when we started talking about some of the stuff he'd been posting on social media, and it's just cool, like seeing people who know other people in the community, and that's how they know you or whatever. It's neat.
Yeah, no, that was fun when we were at Rose City. That one, I like, we were at the one table. You guys were at another table talking to somebody, and I was talking to a vendor, and he was, or an artist. He was looking down, and I said, "Oh, do you mind if I film for YouTube?" And he looked up and he's like, "Oh, shit, you're Big McFly. That's Bronze Age. That's comic tropes. That's Less Funny Comics." Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Definitely has been some nuts moments like that. Yeah. Very cool, very fun stuff. So hey, I want to take this moment that normally we would take a whole ad break, but now we're just going to tell you about an awesome show. So do me a favor, since we're not showing you a big ad break and you get to still see our lovely faces. That's a very generous thing that EXP is letting us do this week to kind of make sure you guys are still engaged with the content, everything. Do me a favor. Go head on over to the EXP and subscribe over to them if you're not already. Maybe you're watching us on the EXP because we are streaming over there right now. But if you're not, go subscribe over there. Hit the like button. I do want to take a second to let you know that on Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, we do have the Friday Night Live show with Nancy. Nancy has been a comic retailer for longer than almost anybody still doing it. Great product, great stories you're going to see on that show. It takes place after the original art experience over there, which is also a great show. So make sure you go check out her show on Friday if you're interested in buying some comic books and checking out some cool items. She'll definitely have some stuff. I know her show's been growing rapidly over the last few months, so definitely go check that out over on the EXP. We'd appreciate it. While you're at it, go subscribe to Big B McFly, the comic book guy, too. Trust me, you're gonna like his content as well.
Probably.
I think so. I mean, if you're watching this, probably safe bet. Oh yeah, that's cool. Her husband Jesse wrote some comics and he came up with Orange Kryptonite. I did not know that. That's really cool. I don't remember what Orange Kryptonite does. Now I gotta turn in my nerd card now. Let's see.
Orange
I think the most
kryptonite.
obscure kryptonite I actually know what it does. Well, there's a couple really like problematic ones. I think pink kryptonite's pretty problematic. Yeah. Um, I always like, did you ever watch Smallville?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love like the first, like, I think it's called Red or whatever. The first like Red Kryptonite episode and all the different stuff that happens to him. Like, that was fun.
Last ring one.
Yeah.
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 Good.
It was neat stuff.
He says, "Think pets." All right, now I'm about to Google it.
Turns them into dogs. I don't know. Green means stop. Red means go. That's funny.
It provides super abilities to any animal that comes into contact with it for 24 hours.
Oh, so there you go. That just reminded me, was it Super Pets? Was actually a pretty fun movie for like what it is.
There were some hilarious parts in that movie, especially when the bad guy had Aquaman in the aquarium and he's putting fish food in, and Aquaman's coming up and like a fish.
I love that stuff. Okay, let's get into some more of the news. This is actually getting into some of the proper NYCC news, although the Sentinel was announced slightly ahead of NYCC, but it was still, I think, technically part of that. Let's do some more figure news. I'm a big G.I. Joe fan. I know you're a G.I. Joe fan. I love the figures.
That's cool.
This is really cool. 2-pack, you got the irradiated Snake Eyes and the polar bear, which is awesome. Very cool stuff. They did some other reveals as well. They're doing like a modular kind of bunker system for Cobra.
That's cool. Alley Viper with the darker colors. That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a Night Viper, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. There's so many of them. But that's really cool. And then there's kind of a closer shot at some of the components. But it just reminds me of those smaller sets they would do, which, I mean, that was the cool thing about G.I. Joe and the classic line, is there was stuff kind of at every price point. You know, there was even like vehicles and play sets that were affordable, or accessory sets you could get extra, weapons for and stuff.
Right.
Love that machine gun. That would be great for Roadblock. It says Cobra on it, but still, that's really cool.
He could have beat up Cobra and taken it.
He easily could have. You bet. I think this is in their first responder and armed forces series that they've been doing. I don't think that's actually supposed to be a named character, but that's really cool to see a firefighter. Got Footloose coming.
Nice.
One of my favorite figures from the vintage line. It looks like just a military dude. And then there were, did this not have it? There were some render and name reveal. Oh, so those are render reveals. There were some named reveals as well. So that was a Trench Viper, by the way. I guess it would help if I read. And that's a Legacy Collection firefighter. And that is the Cobra Perimeter with Trench Viper. Okay. But there was a couple other figures that were announced or revealed too, and I'm blanking on what they are. This article doesn't mention it. So, but yeah, it's cool. I'm glad that we're still seeing more stuff in this line.
Are they going to make a mass device toy then?
Be neat. It'd be really cool if they did.
I mean, it's not that big. It'd be like a vehicle, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the pre-order retro reveals were Retro Rock and Roll, Retro Dr. Mindbender, and a Retro Viper. The name only reveals were Darklon, which is really cool, Crystal Ball, which is insane, and I think it's the V4 Snake Eyes, which is if I'm not mistaken, that's the one with like the light blue and the red goggles, I think, right. Which is a pretty cool version of him from the early 90s. So
those are the larger figures, right?
Which one?
Those are the larger figures, the bigger size.
The 6-inch ones.
Yeah.
Don't knock everything over. Yeah, so here's a like Marauders barbecue figure in that line.
It's about double the size of the original figures.
Yeah. Yeah. And, good sculpt details, good articulation. It's kind of everything I wanted from G.I. Joe for a while as an adult, because they're more fun and easy to display and everything. Oh yeah. Actually, I got that in too.
Oh, wow.
Night Force, Falcon, and Coral. It's actually probably easier to check out the art back there, but
that's cool.
It's like a Walmart con exclusive thing that just came in. So the first Falcon head sculpt was hot garbage. So he looked like remember in Team America when the puppets were like Matt Damon? He looked exactly like that guy.
Oh no.
It was terrible. So yeah, that's a better head sculpt. I'm going to pop onto my normal Lieutenant Falcon and put the steel core helmet on this guy. Anyways.
We got some questions about G.I. Joe.
Yeah. So Figure Drawing was saying, speaking of G.I. Joe, I hope the Transformers crossover is actually not trash. Yeah, it is. So first of all, I have to kind of ask, are you asking about the movie, or are you asking about any upcoming comic stuff now that we're getting full on Energon G.I. Joe figure drawing? I mean, I hope neither is garbage, but
right. We want quality on both sides.
Prefer G.I. Joe and Transformers animated or live action movies? I think I have to say, so for G.I. Joe, it's easy for me to say animated. Just because I actually was a fan of the movie, the animated movie. I did not really enjoy, what has there been 3 live action G.I. Joe films now? Didn't really enjoy any of them. They were fun for what they were, but they just didn't feel much like a G.I. Joe movie.
Right.
For Transformers, the first Bay movie was okay, like for the time. I mean, it was just kind of an impressive movie. But the subsequent movies after that for a while were terrible. However, I do think Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts were both pretty good. The last, 2 live action movies, I guess.
Right.
Those are pretty good. How about you, man?
Snake Eyes movie.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Snake Eyes movie?
I
didn't think it was as bad as the backlash that they got.
So the complicated part is the first part of it is actually not bad, but like the whole like climax third act doesn't pay anything off enough to make it enjoyable for me.
Right.
I like the actor was fine. Like they did a good job with that. They did a good job. Although I think Storm Shadow was better. I mean, that was a really good version of Storm Shadow.
Yeah, I thought it was a great Storm Shadow. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just a weird one. Like, I get that you want to make Snake Eyes a thing, but that just wasn't it to me. But yeah. The best Snake Eyes live action stuff, I think it's the second one where they're doing like the fighting on the cliff face, where he's like, they're what do you call that, belaying or whatever, and they're like running back and forth on the wall. That's really cool, the cliff wall. Yes, you're right. The first Bay movie did age worse, absolutely. But at the time, like I'm thinking about watching it in the movie theater, which I mean, it kind of gave me a headache in the movie theater because I was sat pretty close to the front. But yeah, I still would say that Megan Fox helped out a lot in that movie. She did a lot of heavy lifting there. The like Michael Bay does military integration with movies better than almost anyone, and that movie had some really awesome scenes where like we're calling in like the C-130s to do like strafing runs with a C-130 Spooky. That was really cool. Yeah, it was pretty neat. But yeah, it doesn't age very well at all, I bet. Had wonky fights. I don't remember any of the fights in that thing. That's the thing. None of them are memorable to me. So they must not have been that good.
Must have been wonky.
Yeah. How would you guys blend these two properties in comics or movies? Well, comics are easy, or I shouldn't say easy. They're easier.
I think it's like really difficult to make it blend and make sense. But I mean, because G.I. Joe's always been kind of like I guess it's always been kind of like a sci-fi military kind of a thing. But the Transformers takes it like 10 steps beyond that. So it's like,
in a way, though, like
I didn't know that they always ever belonged together.
The criticism of a lot of hardcore G.I. Joe fans is that at times it went too sci-fi. I don't think most fans had a problem with some sci-fi elements being in G.I. Joe.
Right.
But the cool thing is if you have G.I. Joe being the more grounded military force and the Transformers be the more sci-fi element, you kind of are playing to the natural strengths of each property. I do think that it's tough because it's like the Joes and the Cobras don't really have a lot to do when the Transformers really start fighting. So you have to give like the Joes their full arsenal, full range of vehicles, and you have to assume that military vehicles and stuff are kind of effective against Transformers. And if you do kind of the new Daniel Warren Johnson series for Transformers, the Transformers are not really susceptible to human artillery very much, unless under extreme circumstances. So considering that, I mean, like I think Starscream takes out like 4 jets or something like that with no problem at one point. So considering that, it's like, what can G.I. Joe really do? And short of plot devices, right? That's kind of the problem.
Yeah, that's always been kind of like my whole thing is like, the Transformers would just stomp on the Joes or the Cobras, and that would be that. There's nothing they can really do about it.
But, that said, if you're going to have Transformers come to Earth, it makes sense that there's going to be some kind of military presence involved in whatever happens once they start fighting on Earth. And it makes sense for G.I. Joe to get involved in that. And you can see Cobra like trying to help the Decepticons because they are going to offer them something or whatever. I don't know how you would do it, but in my head, as I was just saying that, I think it would be fun if you somehow made it so that the Joes somehow teamed up with the Decepticons, like through deception or whatever, and Cobra teamed up with the Autobots in the beginning. Like those are the first groups that each of them met, and they were like, oh, sure. Well, the Cobra's like, we'll help you. And, we can supply you with energy and stuff like that in exchange for, and, you kind of do maybe from that angle, it might be kind of fun. If it's kind of that whole like misguided alliance allegiance kind of a thing where halfway through they find out like, wait a minute, Cobra's actually the bad guys. And wait a minute, G.I. Joe's actually the good guys. And, they switch sides or whatever. That might be kind of fun, but
it'd be an interesting plot.
Yeah, it is tough.
It's like those things like a Godzilla movie or something. I'm always like, they should be focusing on, I don't care about all the human characters. Show me more freaking Godzilla. I'm like, I don't really care about like when the Joes, the Transformers. I mean, then there's a few characters I would care about, but I don't care about the humans. I want to see the Transformers fight. Show me the big robot fight, like, so.
Yeah. I definitely can relate to that. But I mean, the tough thing is, I think Transformers maybe should do a movie a live action movie where none of it takes place on Earth and just have it be a Cybertron, or if it's some stepping stone after they leave Cybertron or whatever, kind of a movie where you don't have to worry about Earth, because every Transformers fan, like the hardcore Transformers fans, definitely all have that same like, stop paying so much attention to the humans. And I understand that.
I've heard really good reviews of the new Transformers movie, the animated one. Transformers 1.
Yeah, I want to see that bad. That's actually what I was talking about with that vendor when that person came up and complimented me. That was our conversation. Is like, oh, I want to see the movie with my kid, that kind of thing. So,
right.
I definitely want to check it out. Well, hey, that's what I'm here for, Jay. Have you guys seen Terrifier 3 or Joker 2? Have you?
No, I have not yet. I've heard good things about Terrifier 3, bad things about Joker 2.
I have never seen a Terrifier movie. I know what they are, but I've never seen them.
Where he first appears in, he's not like the main character. He's kind of running through the background of a lot of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not really probably my bag, but this is the month where I do tend to watch more horror movies than any other time of the year. Like I said, I just watched Monster Squad, which I know is a much different type of horror movie, but I've watched I watched one of the VHS movies, which I'd never seen one of those. I watched
the VHS movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anthology is definitely like pretty fun to me because it's like, okay, well, even if I don't like this particular story, I get a new one in 20 minutes or whatever. And then I watched Speak No Evil, the original Thorne version, not the newer one with James McAvoy, which I do kind of want to watch, but that movie left such a disgusting taste in my mouth at the end. Not like it's a bad movie, but just like it's just such a brutal ending that it made me not want to watch the new one immediately right after it. Hey, what's up, Lyle? How's it going? So there's, as we're kind of talking here, here's a good chance we are going to be talking about some horror themed stuff next week on our Monday show. We're going to be talking about our favorite horror related comics and comic book covers. In kind of the spooky seasons show thing that we're going to do a little bit more so than even this show. And let me know what some of your favorite horror movies are. Maybe we'll check some of them out between now and then and be able to talk about a couple of them.
Yeah. Put it in the comments, please.
All Hallows Eve was Art the Clown's first appearance, and people loved that character so much it spun off into Terrifier. Okay.
Yeah, that's All Hallows Eve.
So is All Hallows Eve a film, or is it a series, or
it's a movie? And it is a anthology movie, so you probably like that.
Okay.
It's short stories. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I
All
believe,
right.
if I'm remembering it correctly, it had like several different stories, and he kind of was sprinkled in throughout.
Like Trick or Treat a little bit with the. Maybe I'm misremembering that. I thought the main little character from Trick or Treat kind of did that a little bit too, but
yeah, they have the little horrifying kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard says, I don't really care for crossovers, TMNT and Batman, Predator and Wolverine, DC and Street Fighter. You guys like these? Well, I'll tell you, one of my favorite comic book stories of all time is Batman versus Predator. It's a real good one. I think that is a solid story. Maybe I was just at the right age when I read it, but I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Generally, the thing I don't like about most of these crossovers is I'm not a fan. One of my least favorite tropes in all of comic books is it's funny because I just described the G.I. Joe Transformers thing, and that might work for a movie specifically for those two sets of types of characters. But I dislike the whole like, you're a costumed character and I'm a costume character, and we met each other for the first time and we start fighting, and then we turn around and find out that we're actually on the same side. I'm so tired of that. It doesn't mean it can never work. It definitely can work. But that's how most of those, like, let's take Spawn and Batman. Let's take, any of those. That's always how it goes. And it's annoying because what's going to happen. That's why one of my favorites, it's not like a big crossover, Punisher and Wolverine. I love their fights because Punisher and Wolverine, Punisher just like, sure, they will fight and something will happen, and maybe Punisher walks away or maybe Wolverine walks away from it. But they're not on the same side at the end of those encounters. Usually it's like, you better learn your lesson, or next time it's going to be more serious. So
yeah, it's always the, oh, thanks, Lyle.
Yeah, I agree, Lyle. I agree.
I posted the zombie one on Instagram and on my channel. So
right on. I just was watching Son of Crom. I don't know if he's still watching, but I was checking out his video where he met up with you guys, and he picked up a copy of the magazine that you were talking about on the show.
Oh, yeah.
That was really cool to actually see it. That was really fun. I mean, he really didn't like go through it page by page, but I saw the cover and everything. That was really cool.
I didn't even know. He's like, he got it for the cover, and then I opened up. I go, well, here's the digital art story I was telling you about on that episode. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was in there."
That was cool. No, yeah, Bigby is a fantastic and very talented artist. So definitely go check out his stuff. Like his Instagram is a great place to go check out some of his artwork. And if you really like what you see, maybe you hit him up.
We can see great promos for our show with comic elements.
So Space Case says he's only really in the beginning and end of Hallows Eve, if I remember correctly.
Okay. By our character.
I think a babysitter watching horror movies. I think. Oh, okay.
The premise.
Yeah. He Boba Fetted his way into the mainstream. That's funny. Yeah. Invincible Spidey. Yeah,
so
that's a fun one.
Yeah, they immediately Invincible thinks Spider-Man's the bad guy because he's beating up on Doc Ock. He's like, "Why are you beating up on this old man?" Yeah. So, yeah.
Yep. So I'd ask the audience what our favorite horror movies are. Let's see. I think this is a fun topic. We should talk about this for a couple minutes. You cool with that?
Sure.
The one that comes. So this is the one I've been talking about the most recently because I know it's not as well known. And I watched it last year for spooky season. Train to Busan. I know a lot of people do know it, of course, but I know
I love that movie.
Yeah. So that's a really good one, especially as a dad. I really identify with that, daughter, dad. Yeah. Yeah. Usually there's a pretty good amount of them in September and October. But there wasn't quite as many. Okay. So yeah, of course I caught the audience that everybody knows about, which is awesome. That's cool. But I was hoping that was kind of an under the radar one.
Yeah, Live was pretty good. Jay just said that was pretty. I enjoyed that too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's one I've been told to watch before. My favorite horror movie of all time, and I fully consider it a horror movie, is The Thing. The original John Carpenter's The Thing. Not, which I say original. I actually, in a different way, I enjoy The Thing from Another World, which is kind of loosely what it's based on, which is like the 50s film. It's also a good one. But yeah, The Thing, the John Carpenter's Thing, is my favorite.
That is a really good pick.
Yeah. Nice. Anything Kurosawa? Cool. Yeah, I like Battle Royale a lot. I didn't see Battle Royale until I started playing Battle Royale games, and I was like, all right, I feel dumb. I got to go watch Battle Royale. So I haven't seen Talk to Me, and I hadn't heard of it, so I'll have to add it to my list. But Barbarian is on my list. I started watching it. I just couldn't. It was one of those movies where I would have only been able to watch half of it, and I was like, I need to carve out time for this, and it's on my list.
It's disturbing.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about it. Is it The Descent? Is that the movie about the cave?
There's a few about the cave spelunking and stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
but I think the first American one, people in the audience probably know what I'm talking about more than I do. That one was really good for a creepy, scary movie. That one's pretty good. One of my favorite movies. This is the kind of stuff I really love. Cabin in the Woods is probably one of my favorite films because I love that subversion.
The cabin, the merman thing, the Frazetta merman looks like the mermaid from Cabin in the Woods.
Totally. I haven't seen The Menu. I have seen Lake Mungo.
Menu is pretty good. Yeah. I would say one of my favorite is all time is Blair Witch. Pretty good.
I've got issues with Blair Witch, man. So, Blair Witch Project came out. I was basically getting ready to work at the movie theaters when it came out, so I knew I was getting a job, and so I was kind of excited because it was the first movie I went to go see at the movie theater I was going to work at, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited for this movie because it looks so crazy." So I saw it opening night, and I just didn't like it. I was like, okay, now what's going to happen now? And I was anticipating all of it, and the ending just is a total letdown to me. And I know people love that ending. I just thought it was a total, cheap out, cop out, basically at the end. I don't know, but I mean, the movie itself is good up until then. It's just that I don't like the ending.
Building the tension and the scary vibe. Yeah, so I liked it. But.
Scooby-Doo Project was better. Don't at me. That's one that's on my short list is The Witch. I just watched the trailer for that and added that to my queue like a couple days ago. Omen is one I would like to check out. I have never seen the original Exorcist. Don't yell at me. Like I said, I'm not a horror movie fan in general. So I know I need to watch that one. Trying to think of what else is. I mean, I do like It Follows is one of my favorite horror movies.
It was pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
I got kind of burned on Long Legs. Somebody recommended that to me and said it was really good, and it was creepy, but I didn't think it was that good.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's by not good. I mean, I don't want to say it's not well done. It's just another one of those ones where maybe like the payoff wasn't worth it to me. Oh wow, Space Case and Renegade both said Christina like the same time. Christine, yeah, I like the book. That's the funny thing is I've read not every Stephen King novel, but a lot of them. I mean, most of them. Day of the Dead's good. I'm a big fan of Night and Dawn, both the original and actually the Snyder remake of Dawn is actually quite good too in its own way.
I'm a zombie fan.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. Definitely love the zombies. 28 days later, 28 weeks later. I can't wait for 28 years later. That's going to be cool. I mean, it's exciting. It's silly that they're doing it in a way, but nope. I haven't seen The Exorcist.
The Fly.
Oh, yeah. Which the new 2-part one, or the original 80s one? Videodrome. I've heard of that.
Have you seen the Dr. Sleep, the sequel?
Yes.
I've only seen part of it, but it was pretty intense.
And that's one where so I read the book and not to be the most cliche nerd on the planet, but I was like, the book's so much better than the movie. But the Dr. Sleep is very much a sequel that feels like it's not really a sequel to the Shining movie to me. Because it's funny because the Shining movie is much different than the book in like feel. And I tend to prefer the cinematography of Kubrick is top notch, but I tend to prefer the book. Hey, we just talked about Fright Night this weekend, actually.
Yeah.
Although Freight Night might be a different thing. I don't know. That's actually very terrifying if you've ever worked retail. Freight Night can be extremely scary. Good point. That's like tax season. But yeah, both. I actually really enjoyed the Colin Farrell remake, and I love the original for sure.
I think it's interesting that horror movies is I'm a zombie guy. I'm not usually like a werewolf guy. I mean, I've seen a couple, like Dog Soldiers was an okay werewolf movie.
Yeah, that's fun.
But like, it's interesting that there's different genres of horror that I gotta be in the right mood for horror too. It's like, when I was younger, I loved horror. Like, yeah, the grosser the better, the scarier the better. And now it's like, I'm just like, there's too much of that stuff in the real world that's scary.
and I can be lame for it or whatever. I hate movies that live on the jump scare, and the art of the jump scare is fascinating to me. But if that's your horror, if that's what you're bringing, is the music is slow and quiet and it kind of builds, and then it, there's a fake jump scare, and then everything calms down. There's the real jump scare. If that's your movie, F off. Like, I don't care. Like, that's not horror. If you have that in your movie, and your movie is also good and scary, like psychologically really scary to me, that's fine. But yeah, I don't really like it when that's
Did you like Paranormal Activity?
I like the first one. I haven't. I know there's a lot of
there you go.
sequels, but yeah, that's a good one.
I just saw not too long ago X. Have you seen X? Hey,
yes, I like X. We were just talking about you earlier, Damon. Talking about meeting you at, not meeting you, but meeting up with you at Frankenstein. So thanks for joining the show. Yeah, I liked X, and I liked. I just watched Pearl the other day, actually, which is like the prequel.
Right. I haven't watched that one yet, but it looked interesting.
And I need to watch Maxine, 3 X's. Duel, yeah.
Duel was great. The original one.
Duel was great. Yeah.
I remember seeing that as like a little kid, and it scared the crap out of me.
I have not seen Banshees of Inisherin. I'm probably pronouncing it correctly, but I have seen In Bruges, which is one of the best movies ever made. Speaking of non-horror Colin Farrell movies. Oh man, there's some other good, like I like Lost Boys probably deserves to be in there. See, so you mentioned the werewolf, not in the werewolf thing. My contention is there has not been a really good werewolf movie in a while, at least not that I've seen. I do want to watch that new Kit Harington movie, The Beast. That looks interesting, but I mean, obviously you got American Werewolf in London. It's a great technical achievement. I don't know if it's really like one of my all-time favorite scary movies, but it's a good movie. The whole thing where he's like seeing his dead friend and stuff is a really cool angle on it. But I think that we've had so many vampire movies to the point where there's probably too many for a while there, but I want a good new werewolf movie for sure.
What's the guy that did Pacific Rim? He's got some good horror movies too.
Guillermo del Toro. Yeah. I Crimson Peak is another one he did. That's pretty good.
Oh,
Labyrinth
I watched the Ghost Story one that he's done. It was a foreign language one, but it was so good and so heart-wrenching. Like it was really, really good. Scary and heart-wrenching. How's that?
Okay, there you go. Yeah, John Carpenter's Vampires. That's a classic one for me. Yeah, I could see that. So I watched Predator when I was like 6 years old, and that movie scared the crap out of me. And I was pretty scared of Tremors when it came out too. I was pretty young when that came out. And Jaws, that I mentioned earlier in chat, those are all pretty scary ones for me because I was of the right age. It's funny. I love all those movies now though. Like they're I just love them. I love Critters too. I saw that one when I was pretty young. I love those movies. Yeah. Space Case said Get Out and Us and Nope. I haven't seen Us yet, but I've seen Get Out and Nope. Really like, all of Jordan Peele's stuff that I've seen. He does a great job. There's another movie I was thinking of that's a horror movie. What was it? I blanked on it, but there's some good ones. Gremlins. Yes. I saved that one for Christmas time, but that's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Yeah. Fuck. Halloween, the original Halloween. I cannot believe it took me that long to mention that. The first 2 are fantastic, at least. And I've seen some of the later sequels, but yeah, I apologize for the language there, but I just, forgot about that one. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. There's one other one coming up. The Fly remake, Exorcist. Yeah, there's so many. But yeah, if you like this kind of conversation about horror stuff, do tune in next week on next Monday because we are going to be talking about our favorite horror comic stories. I did that a little bit last year with Kyle on Devil's Advocates, but we focused kind of just on the stories. We're also going to do like our favorite like horror art and covers as well, when we're going to kind of show off some of our top picks for each. Some classics: Rear Window, Psycho. Yeah, we got to mention Hitchcock for sure. A lot of vampire, of enough werewolf, Frankenstein, and swamp monsters. Yeah. The Substance? No, I don't know that one. Gosh, there's some good recommendations in here. Yeah. I will say I've got a guilty pleasure film, which is Freddy versus Jason. I do. Speaking of the crossover ones, I like that one a lot. So one of the better ones. So we do want to mention last time we'll kind of do this. We do want to talk about one of the other shows happening over on the EXP coming up this week. Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, the inmates take over the asylum as Kyle and Jay host a live sale. And that's right. The producers are getting into the game, selling some of Kyle's inventory and personal collection on Saturday. I don't know if you remember some of the stuff that Kyle brought to Heroes for Heroes last year, but he brought like some amazing TMNT books. He's a big Turtles fan. Just some of the stuff I know that he has available in his collection. I don't know what all he's going to be pulling for that, but I mean, his family, I know they own multiple AF-15s. I'm not saying he's bringing an AF-15 to sale, but I know they have some great stuff. So definitely tune in for that if you're interested in checking out some great books and a great claim sale. So that's going to happen Saturday at 5 Eastern. The inmates take over the asylum. I love it. So check out that claim sale. You can do that over on the EXP. The EXP, if you're not familiar, it's a channel. It's also kind of like I'd call it almost like a network where you get to see lots of different types of comic book content, sales shows, claim shows. They have interviews too. There's a Scott Snyder interview that had to be rescheduled. I don't know exactly when that's coming on now, but I know it had to be rescheduled for one point. So lots of great interviews on there as well, original art, and comic book reviews, and stuff like what you're watching right now is available over on the EXP as well. So highly recommend checking out the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring the bell over there and check out all their content. Or you can follow them on Instagram, Twitch, X, Facebook. They're on all the major social media networks, including, I hear, even the TikToks. So go check that out as well.
we said horror shows to say anthology. A creep show.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, well, and kind of even going back further than that, like not further than that, but going into a different direction, that some of especially the newer Outer Limits series and Twilight Zone, some of those stories are actually pretty creepy on the psychological front of things.
Have you seen the Del Toro, the Cabinet of Curiosities show that he had? That was
didn't.
Yeah,
nice. Okay. Masters of Horror. Yeah. Oh boy, Hellraiser. There's just so many that are coming to mind now that I do love a lot of horror stuff, but yeah. Phantom of the Opera, 1925 silent movie. My grandmother saw that. She said it was the scariest crap she had ever seen for the times. Yeah. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Right.
Like, I wonder at what age a kid today would have to watch that and still be scared by that. You know, probably pretty young.
Yeah.
Probably too young. To be honest, but yeah, that's cool. Well, hey, let's get back to some of the news from New York City Comic Con. Kind of wrap that up before we show off our books here. There's two other announcements. I'll let you pick, baby. DC or Marvel?
Well, let's go DC first.
DC, okay. So, what?
Oh, I said, did I throw a monkey wrench in it? Were you expecting me to say Marvel?
No. That's totally. I just did whatever link I was going to copy first. So DC has a couple of announcements that came out of NYCC in their panel, at the Jim Lee and Friends panel, which is really cool. Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb are going to return to Hush, and it's going to be an ongoing series over at DC, and they're both going to be on it, which is really cool to see Jim Lee on a book again. I'm excited for this. Don't know what to expect exactly from this, and I'm along for the ride. This article points out too, this is a good point. This isn't the first time in recent months that Loeb has revisited an iconic Batman storyline. He recently did the Last Halloween, which is the finishing chunk of the Long Halloween trilogy, which is pretty cool. We talked about that before as well. The other thing is DC, and this is kind of crazy, DC's brought back their logo recently, which is a good move in my opinion. or at least a more iconic version of their logo. They're also bringing back Vertigo, which hasn't been around for a while.
I don't know why they got rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. This is kind of, but this is, to me, this is kind of a, hey, you tried something different, didn't work. Okay, cool. You're going to course correct back to the norm, right? So makes sense to have a Nice House by the Sea, the Nice House by the Lake successor over on that line as well, which is really cool. So, I actually didn't notice this earlier. There's a Vigilante story coming as well from Tim Seeley and Mitch Gerards. That's cool.
Peacemaker presents Vigilante and Eagly double feature.
That's neat. Awesome. That's really cool. I like that. And then there's a DC Monsterverse crossover, Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong 2. So that's also pretty cool. And a lot of people really enjoyed that. I didn't check any of that out, but hard to complain about that.
I have a buddy who's trying to read to collect all that. He said it's impossible to find because the print run was so low on it. Oh, really? Yeah.
That's too bad. I mean, well, hey, that's one of the things that digital comics are good for if you're just trying to read it. But yeah, if you're trying to collect it, it's definitely makes things difficult. But that's cool. I'm excited about all those announcements. That actually is just a home run announcement from DC for me.
Yeah, I'll take that piece of Jim Lee artwork, by the way.
Yeah,
that's okay. I
was looking at a comic I picked up at the show, and it was talking about how it was a trading card series. I think was it Wildstorm? I can't remember what it was, but it was a trading card series that had original Jim Lee art in it, and I was like, my gosh, could you imagine what that would go for today?
I wonder if Paxton is still out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of want to double check that now that I just kind of was like, I was just kind of like rebagging and boarding. But yeah, that's some fun stuff.
Right.
It's kind of like I talked about the Transformers Kickstarter when I interviewed part of the creative team that worked on that. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff they're offering in the Transformers Kickstarter, as well as you're getting some original art cards so that you can get. And I mean, think about it. That's exactly what that kind of stuff is. I think that's really fun. Chase cards. You were talking about some Guardians of the Galaxy costume cards you had at one point. Yeah. And that kind of stuff is fun. I mean, there's that, but there's also like those autograph and jersey patch cards and all that kind of stuff and sports cards. So there's that kind of stuff we can do with comic book costumes, but there's also original art, which is, hey, that's a big win for everybody.
Just don't chop up original old like Golden Age comics and stuff.
No, please don't do that.
I don't like that.
Please don't do that. So let's do some Marvel side of things now. I'll try to go through these somewhat quickly. This is on Marvel's website. So Marvel took over New York City Comic Con, according to Marvel.
Okay.
So we'll kind of go through it. I got to get some water here first. We'll talk about day one. So day one, the major announcements. The Ultimate Wolverine got announced. I know a lot of people were really impressed by the character design that came out from New York City Comic Con. I'm not familiar with Alessandro Capuccio, but the art was really cool. So I'm excited to check that out. Kind of reminded me of a mix of the Darkness and Wolverine, kind of almost.
Right, the full face, but you don't see any of his face. It's totally covered.
Very neat. Marvel Unlimited is getting its most astonishing update yet, launching a new series called Astonishing Spider-Man, which is available for free. At least issues 1 and 2 are. Astonishing X-Men is going to launch in December, and Astonishing Avengers in January. So I know this is kind of a sensitive topic for a lot of people. So digital only comics from Marvel, it's not new. They've definitely done it before. Like the Infinity comics have been a big selling point on Marvel Unlimited for a while now. But yeah, we're getting 3 new series: Astonishing Spider-Man, X-Men, and Avengers.
They'll wait until there's some hype for it, and then they're going to release special, ultra expensive variant edition hard copies.
It's going to come in comic packs.
Right. Foil covered comic packs with 3 different levels of rarity and
But hey, why not, right? I mean, that's the kind of thing I don't care if they do that with, because it's like you're giving people a chance to own a physical thing, and you're combining it with this other thing you already are doing that's successful for them.
I might have an issue. That was the only way to get it, was the packs. That might be kind of crappy.
But you could read it online too, so it's not like you can't read it. It's just that's the only way to get the physical.
Physical copy might be a really bad thing. Well, I mean, we're hypothesizing. It's not something that's really happening.
I'll say right now you can't get a physical copy, so that would at least be better than that, right?
Right.
This is actually one thing I don't. Marvel also teased new details about One World Under Doom, which is a new event beginning February 25th with Ryan North and RB Silva's Rise of Emperor Doom event series. So, new event coming from Marvel, which I just sort of shrug when that happens. I guess I don't love the events. Day 2. I think this is awesome because I had a PS4, played the Spider-Man 1 game, loved it. But I didn't have a PS5 and I didn't really have a way to play Spider-Man 2, but it's coming to PC on January 30th. And I'm really excited. That's the one with they introduced the symbiote and Miles is in the game. So very cool.
You can play both characters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The Marvel booth hosted a Spider-Verse cosplay meetup, where Tom Hardy took the stage to surprise fans. That's neat. That's fun. Day 3, which was Saturday, we were deep in the clutches of looking at old Marvel paper and much other DC paper and all kinds of stuff. But at the same time in New York, the Marvel Fanfare panel, where CB Sapolsky was joined by Frank Miller, Charles Soule, and Steve McNiven for a conversation where they talked about Soule and McNiven reuniting for Daredevil Cold Day in Hell. New limited series coming, which is cool. And then Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio came out. That's fun. That's got to be awesome for everybody at New York City Comic Con. Right. And they crashed the Marvel cosplay competition. So that was kind of, man, sounds like if you go to an NYCC, you want to go to the cosplay competitions. Right. That's cool. On the 4th day, they rested. No, on the 4th day, they talked about more news. So this was the Women of Marvel panel. Let's see. They revealed this year's Women of Marvel one shot as Women of Marvel She-Devils, following street level heroines as they break out of the shadows in a fight for the record books. And they announced a 5-issue limited series of Doom Academy in February. So they closed out the day with Spider-Man and his Venomous Friends panel, teasing what's next. 8 Deaths of Spider-Man trailer is out now, so you can go check that out. Yeah, a pretty good slate of announcements, really. But that's fun. So
next week we'll have some reaction to the new Venom movie, right?
Possibly, not for me.
Not from us, but I mean,
yeah,
from the public at large.
Again, I don't go like it takes a Dune 2 or a Deadpool and Wolverine to get me to the movie theater. That's kind of the level I'm at these days. Depends. I mean, if there's times that it comes up where I'm just like, yeah, sure, let's go check that out, and it just happened to be free. But
right,
it's usually a logistical nightmare for me to get to a movie theater and see something. So I want to see it.
Not ahead of time.
Yeah. I want to see it. I will say I did not like Venom 2 at all, but
I was disappointed.
Yeah. Sure. I did like the first one. The first one's kind of was a guilty pleasure that gave me hope for Venom 2. And that I guess that was the problem, is I had hope, right?
So the guy who played Mordo is a soldier in Venom 3?
Yes, but I mean they're not connected, right? So
are they not?
Well,
multiverse thing?
Not ostensibly.
It'd be funny if his name was Carl Mordo.
I mean, the biggest thing about this movie, right, is everyone's going to be wondering, and this is no spoilers because I haven't seen any leaks. This isn't about anything like that. This is just speculation. Everyone's going to be wondering, is the end of Venom 3 going to set up his arrival in the proper MCU, because they teased it in the second one. So that's what everybody's wondering about. And I think that's going to be what a lot of this film comes down to, is does it pay off on that expectation? So
Yeah, we'll see. I hope so.
I hope so too. Oops, I'm sorry. Meant to hit stop screen there. What I was gonna say, we don't have a whole lot of time left, and we haven't shown off the books, so we got to talk about the Frankenstein comic swap books that we picked up. Do you have your stack kind of close by?
I have stacks close by. I will
Try to go quickly.
Yeah, I mean, just try to maybe highlight your top picks.
I got Well, from one vendor, I got a whole bunch of crossed and this Bloodshot first appearance of Ninja, but some of the crossed were the EC Comics homages, so those are cool. Shouldn't have found those in a 50-cent bin. I was happy to find them there. I guess, do you want to make me big, or
I'm gonna actually gonna do.
Let's see. Try to okay. Well, I'll just get it. First appearance of Rose Wilson, the Ravager. This is going to be a key for upcoming X-Men 97 stuff. I got some Deadpool covers. Random issue of Alias. Let's see. Some Sandman. Venomized Daredevil. Fathom #1. Some issues of Invincible. Stuff that shouldn't have been in a 50-cent bin. Man-Thing #1. NYX #1. This one you were kind of Bronze was kind of jealous of. First cameo appearance of Hellboy in the 50-cent bin. 2 of them. Cool Stephen Platt Chromium Prophet. First issues of Punisher. So there's those. Just bust in wherever you feel like it, Chris. Let's see. X-Men #1. Facsimile. Not a real X-Men #1. Couple copies of the Netflix Sandman #1 reprint, which is not cover price. Rocketeer #1. First appearance of Victor Zsasz. Shout out to that #1. First appearance of Cassandra Cain, Batgirl. Again, stuff that shouldn't be in a 50-cent bin. Gun Honey. Let's see. New Mutants. First appearance of the Demon Bear issue in the 50-cent bin. This one was probably, I think, one of the best ones. First Tombstone in a 50-cent bin. Whole slew of Noctera variant covers and X-Men 97 variant cover #1. So there's those. Meanwhile, Chris is digging his books out, I hope. This is stuff from the first vendor that we went to. So Vertigo book, Kill Your Boyfriend. The Stargirl, first appearance is like tied with 3 different things. So Secret Origins is one of them. This one here is also one of them. And then the JSA #1, which I also picked up. We got some JSA Christmas cover. Power Girl.
Love that one. I was actually commenting on all those books. I thought, even though I just had my thing off the screen, I thought you could still hear me because it didn't say I'm muted. But yeah.
So first appearance of Magog in continuity from Kingdom Come. A whole slew of Alex Ross covers. The Magog one there. This is the first appearance of Stargirl in Justice JSA #1. Forget this gal's name. She was in the Black Adam movie.
Yeah, I never will remember that. That was such a forgettable movie.
Then we got Atom Smasher. There's a whole bunch of Alex Ross covers. Power Girl. Again,
One of the best ones.
Less than $1. So
isn't Cyclone? Is Jay right? Is that
Cyclone? There you go. I think this is for Martian Girl, or the female Martian Manhunter. So
She should be called Marcia Manhunter, but I know that's not it.
Marcia, man.
It's Martian Girl, I think, isn't it?
Martian Girl. There you go. First appearances of
You're showing everything.
Endgame. No, I'm just showing a few things. Death of Colossus. First appearance of what's his name? Bastion.
Yep.
So, but yeah, lots of stuff. Lots of good stuff.
You got some great books, man.
Yeah. Iron Spider.
Love that cover.
First Abigail Brand.
And Sword.
And Sword. John Byrne. Scarlet Witch. They say $3, but they weren't $3.
Miss Martian, Tyler says.
Miss Martian. There you go. Betty and Veronica.
I love that cover.
First Family Guy in comics. Anyway. There you go. That's enough. Anyway, there's a ton. I got over 160 books. I spent less than $140. So
awesome. Yeah, I'll zoom through my stuff. Just for the X-Men stuff. Not my only copy of this, but again, when you find it in a 50-cent bin, why not? It was actually less than 50 cents. Got these for I think $1 each. First Omega Red newsstand and a first Maverick, two of the greatest covers. I think I got those for $1 each. The Arthur Adams wraparound cover special edition newsstand. Very cool. Let's see here. I've always wanted this book, just never found it for less than $1. J. Scott Campbell, Ultimate Black Cat. I have an Ultimate Fallout 4. I actually have a couple of them. But I didn't have an Ultimate Fallout 3, which is a nice book to find in a 50-cent bin.
Right, I was looking for those. And you found it.
It was me. I was very happy to find this because I've wanted this for a while. It's an early appearance of Ahsoka. It's Star Wars Forces of Destiny, Ahsoka and Padme. Very, very cool cover. So I really wanted that one. I was glad to find it for a good price. Let's see. Got Red Sonja, She-Devil with a Sword, #1, newsstand. That was nice. Several Teen Titans books. This guy it was like $25 for $10. So at one point I was just basically trying to get it to $10 by grabbing books. Can't go wrong with some Perez new Teen Titans goodness. That's 2 copies of issue 50. Just love that cover. Great cover there.
That was the first guy when we first came in.
Yeah. Little fun fight there. Little booty cover action with Donna Troy there. That's the origin of Donna, or the first appearance of Donna Troy as that character, I think. I can't remember what she called herself then.
Troya,
there we go. Let's see, those aren't anything terrible specially. This is that female Loki. It's the first cover appearance of her disguised as, like, half disguised as Scarlet Witch. Couple of the keys I was missing from the Marvel 2-in-1 featuring the Thing. That's the second appearance of Spider-Woman.
nice.
Got a newsstand, kind of beat up, but a fun little newsstand copy of Secret Wars #1. First appearance of whatever Bloodstone's dad's name is. I cannot recall his name, but I actually thought this might be better than the copy I had already. This book, it's actually about the same. So I was hoping to upgrade, but oh well. First time him is referred to as Adam Warlock. Marvel Premiere.
Very cool.
#2. Very much needs a press. It's very wavy, but whatever. It's just a fun book, and I wanted to have it for the holiday season. First appearance of Santa Claus, where he's admitted to be an Omega level mutant.
That's right.
Fun book. Did get another Red Sonja from Marvel feature. She-Devil with a Sword, #5 there. Cool cover. First appearance of Mordred the Mystic, Marvel Chillers #1. It's also a Darkhold key. Love Power Girl, love Amanda Connor. I had another copy of this, but could not pass it up for that price. Oh my gosh, Comic Trips is watching us from a plane. From the air. I got a 24th printing. That's right. Eat your hearts out. 24th printing of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Used to love reading these comic books, like in the early 2000s. So that was cool. Bigby worked out a kind of a free book for me on this Jim Starlin's copy of Breed. Oh man, my camera hates that cover. I like it. Cool.
I can see it.
Okay. It was kind of doing a focus thing. Cool book though. And ever since I got a chance to interview Jim Starlin, I've kind of been trying to collect a lot of his books. This is one of the bigger books I got. First Yelena, Inhumans number 5. Very nice copy of that. Not in a 50-cent bin.
Like, these aren't all 50-cent bin books.
Well, actually, most of them were $1 or less at this point. But that one wasn't. This one was. This was $1. First appearance of Wendigo. Very low grade, extremely low grade, but
yeah, but still.
Yeah. I thought this was just a fun cover. I don't know anything about the Inferior 5, but that was kind of cool.
Booty cover.
Yep, it is also that too. First appearance of the second Huntress.
Right.
Huntress number 1, Bertinelli. I actually thought this was a second print. I didn't realize that's the first print, but it's pretty beat up. Issue 9. Love that t-shirt cover. Okay. Got some Star Sapphire, Green Lantern goodness there. Some Alex Ross. Fantastic Green Lantern cover.
The beautiful cover.
Got the infamous fridging issue, controversial issue, as well as like there's some DC Universe books I picked up that were sitting there too. I won't show all those, but
that was fun about like digging together, talking about stories and stuff while we're digging, and like, oh, make sure to look for this or that, or yeah.
Kyle Rayner comes Green Lantern. Love that cover. I'm so glad I finally found a copy of that.
Yeah.
I cannot show that cover because it's an Adam Warren bondage cover that I feel like is probably going to get me flagged. Can show this one though. That one's almost sexier though. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
Got a whole bunch of Elektra books from the same vendor I got that Breed from. There's I think that's the Diodato, but then I got a bunch of the Land ones, the Sienkiewicz Marvel Knights cover. Love that. That's good stuff. And then let's see. Dreadstar number 1. Speaking of Jim Starlin.
There you go.
Dazzler number 1. Taylor Swift. So hot right now.
Yeah.
Danger Girl. Can't go wrong with some Abby Chase.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so biggest 2 books I got. Last 2. First Taskmaster.
Nice.
Kind of VF plus kind of neighborhood on that one. And then shout out to QWERTY Comics on Instagram, who, by the way, congratulations. He just got his X-Men number 1 today, which is awesome. He picked that up. Or yesterday, I should say. But got a first Boba Fett from him.
Very
Came to a good deal on that. So,
very cool.
Yeah. Ton of comics.
Yeah, so I'll have a full, if you guys want to see the full breakdown of everything we got, that'll be on my channel a little later.
Yeah, definitely check that out. Plus, you can see what Dr. Plagueis got and his friend Daniel, too, which they picked up some amazing stuff as well.
Right.
So,
and Travis, Comics Limited.
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot because he kind of had to run, but we did get to see what he picked up, too. Yeah. Let's see, I found a bunch of Vader and Afra books. Oh, nice. That's awesome. So
we got a bunch of British comics for 140. That's cool.
That is cool. Fridging issue is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, we are over on time over here, so basically I just want to take a second to remind you, Heroes for Heroes is coming up. If you're just now tuning in or you're watching on the rewind and you're catching this part of the video, go to the beginning and you'll see kind of a breakdown of everything we have new for Heroes for Heroes. I'd say we spent less than you might think on everything we just showed you and everything. It was an amazing deal. And you know, for people that actually were pricing their comics and that's what they wanted to sell it for, and that's the beauty of going to that show.
Yep.
So, but we will be back next week. We're going to do a full-on spooky show. Favorite horror stories and comic books, favorite horror and Halloween related covers. You know, maybe there'll be some costume action. I don't know. I don't know. We don't know. It could happen. But yeah, it's going to be some awesome stuff going on. Tune in next week at 8 p.m. Pacific for another installment of Best Coast Comics as we lead up to Heroes for Heroes. I'll just remind you, as always, read comics every day. And I know, Big B, there's something you want to say too, right?
Share your love of comics with everyone you meet. You never know where it may lead you.
Absolutely. Have a great one, everybody. We'll catch you next week and hope you have a good week. Later.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.